Hello and welcome. This is Talking Politics. Well, the clock has begun ticking for Brexit. What matters is not only the decision that we will take, but using the opportunities that will be around us, the opportunities that are going to be made available to us. And now to make justice to these questions here today, I have with me His Excellency, the Albanian Ambassador to the United Kingdom, Ambassador Qirjako Qirko. Ambassador, you're very welcome to our studios.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And we also have on set Ian Pelham Turner. He's a seasoned journalist and broadcaster. Ian, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ambassador, let's take a look at your country, Albania. Interestingly, Albania has been transformed from one of the poorest countries in the 1990s to become an upper middle income country. Now, what exactly did you do, the government of Albania and the Albanians do, to bring Albania up to that status?
Well, I can say it is the miracle of the democracy, but the opportunity a democratic society offered to everybody, to everyone in the society. Albania has been for such a long time, 45 years, under the most tough dictatorship in Europe. It was a country, let's say, like a North Korea of Europe, totally isolated from the West and from the East. But after the peaceful changes in 1991, the Albanian society have entered in a new era, let's say, and the economy have changed from one total centralized economy to total liberalized economy, and everything was decided by the market. So privatization of all sectors, and of course, keeping balance between privatization and taking care for the group of people, the group of society who I need. So the social aspect was always one of the priority of all governments that have been in power in Albania during these 28 years. In meantime, Albania have one of the youngest population in Europe. The average age of the population now is around 32, 34 years. In meantime, the education was good. Maybe one of the few things we inherited from the past was the education of the people. So young people, well educated, and just use the opportunity that the democratic society offered to everyone.
That's amazing. Ian, looking at Albania and seeing how the country has progressed,
yes,
irrespective of their past and what they've gone through,
yes,
is there anything that the UK can actually take from Albania?
I think there's all sorts of things. I mean, I'm 53 years, as you know, in journalism. So I was in Russia during Perestroika, I was in Romania during Ceausescu. So when I first went to Albania last year, I wasn't sure what I was expecting, to be honest. And what I saw was this very modern, civilized country. The amount of wealth in the country, the amount of opportunities in the country, the amount of tourism opportunities in the country, the amount of investment potentials in the country is very, very good. And I think Albania has really created a policy where it is open to the world. It's open to business, it's open to the world, and I think we could sort of follow a lot of the guidelines that they have done to actually, I mean, they're up to 3.84% growth each year. That's something that Britain would love to have post-Brexit.
Yeah, definitely to love to have that statistic, yeah, the growth rate. And what do you think, Ambassador, the policies that are in Albania that can be implemented in the UK? What can UK borrow from Albania?
Well, we have borrowed a lot from the British model, because, as you know, British model represent the modern democracy, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the British government what they have done in Albania for their concrete supports to build democracy there, to create a free and open market in my country, and to support the integration of my country in our dream, that is the Euro-Atlantic integration of Albania, which means the membership of Albania in NATO, in which UK have been a strong supporter, and soon we will start the negotiation of we will start the negotiation for membership in European Union, and I can say that UK have been always a strong supporter of enlargement with the country, not only for Albania but also for other countries of Western Balkans. So UK have been an extremely important partner in our joining our dream to Euro-Atlantic integration.
So what about post-Brexit now? Because we are talking about investments and business opportunities post-Brexit. And looking at your policies in Albania, your economy has done very well. We would love to have such in Britain post-Brexit, because we will be going through uncharted waters, you know, when it's post-Brexit. So what can UK pick from Albania?
Well, Albania is a country with opportunity because, as I mentioned, it's still an undiscovered country. Unfortunately, UK is not one of our main partners. And my concern when I was appointed as ambassador is how to develop this economic ties between Albania and UK. Because unfortunately right now UK is our 12th partners in economy, and we are looking for more investments from UK because well, the investment in tourism, for example, the investment in energy, investment in minerals, in agriculture, everywhere. Albania is a Mediterranean country with 300 days with sun, beautiful beaches. So a lot of companies are running to invest over there thanks to the policy that my government is following. Last year, our parliament adopted a law in base of which every investors or individuals that would like to invest in 4- or 5-star hotel or resort will work for the next 10 years free of any taxes. And now there is a big demand. We are looking also that other British companies will take this chance and invest in Albania.
That's very interesting, Ambassador. I'll come back to you, but Ian, you can imagine investing in Albania and you have 10 years free of tax if you're investing in the tourism industry. And looking at the statistics in Albania, about 6 million tourists were there last year.
Yes.
This year, you're expecting up to 10 million tourists.
Absolutely. And I can understand why. I mean, it's an idyllic country to actually be in. I visited Albania in November. It was warm. First of all, when Britain was cold, I could walk along the beach in the morning. It was the most pleasant of places to actually sort of be part of as well. And I think with tourism, there's also other investment, because again, what we look at post-Brexit is if there are times when places like Spain may very well start becoming an antagonist against Britain in trade, because they may want to have Gibraltar back, and this could be a very big contention post-Brexit for us in our trading relationships. Where do 4 million Brits who live in Spain right now, where do they go? If suddenly their options are changed where they cannot get the benefits, they can't get the medical benefits and so forth. The reality nowadays is that the cost of property back in Britain has risen probably tenfold, so they can't move back. So what I see as a great potential for Albania as well is for them to migrate to Albania as well. The property is less expensive, they all speak English, there's the same sort of warmth of feeling at the same time, and I think that has tremendous values as well. So there's all sorts of opportunities for the country, and I think that's what British businesses are looking at right now as well.
That's interesting, because with you don't have that in the UK, where you have to invest in a place for 10 years and you don't pay tax for 10 years. That's quite interesting, Ambassador, and I'm sure British businesses and companies will be looking forward to that. And you've actually stated that Albania is looking to trade with the UK post-Brexit, which is something that we don't currently have between Albania and the UK.
Yes, as I mentioned, it was one of my objectives, and I'm in contact with different companies in UK, and some of them are interested to invest in tourism. Some of them are other interest to invest in other, I can say, strategic sectors, like airports or oil or things like that. So I'm glad that things are going in the right direction, and Albania is becoming more and more attractive even for the British companies.
Which means there's a lot of construction going on in Albania as well, where they can invest.
It is, it is. Ian mentioned that the problem of, let's say, retired people that now are living in Spain, and I can mention that only in the capital, in the last 2 years, more than 25,000 Italian retired people are living now in the capital from 2 years now.
Interesting.
Why? Because with a pension of 1,000 euro, let's say, sometimes it's difficult to live. But with 1,000 euro in Albania, you can have a nice rented home. You can, I mean, the food is extremely delicious and much cheaper. And I remember a couple of Italian just a week ago in Albanian TV shows that we are visiting twice a week the restaurants. Something that in Rome we forgot where the restaurants are. In Albania, with these salaries, we can enjoy life. So that's an opportunity.
Which means when it comes to tourism, all roads lead to Albania. That's interesting. But let's talk about your country, the religious tolerance in your country when it comes to various faiths. You have a very strong Christian heritage in Albania. Mother Teresa is from Albania, and you talked about when the Pope visited Albania recently.
Well, Albania, like the rest of Europe, let's say 500 years ago, 600 years ago, was a Christian country. But after the occupation by the Ottoman Empire, we became part of Ottoman Empire for, let's say, 500 years. Some people were forced to change their religion. But in the century, there have been always a perfect harmony between people of different religion, because at the end, first of all, we feel Albanians, and then we feel Muslim, Christian, or because in Albania we have Christian Catholic and Christian Orthodox. So, and it is in our DNA to respect the religion of the other. So that's why in our DNA is always this position regarding religion. Respect the religion of the other. Respect the other. Doesn't matter is color, is religion, is nationality. Talking about nationality, you know what happened in former Yugoslavia last 20 years ago. In Albania, the minority is called, because we have a Slav minority, we have Greek minorities. They have lived always in the century in perfect harmony. Or talking about religion, there is an excellent example of, let's say, religion tolerance. You know that during the Second World War, the number of Jewish in Albania was, in the end of the war, was 10 times higher than before the war. And during the Nazi occupation, no one Jewish was delivered to the Nazis. And a lot of Jewish coming from Germany, from Austria, from Greece, they found shelter and protection, mostly from the Muslim Albanians, because of this attitude that I mentioned. We respect, and we respect the religion of everyone, and we help the people who are in need. That was the case of the Jewish. I was glad that 2 days ago in FCO, I have seen the list of Albanians who have protected Jewish people because it was an event organized to commemorate the Holocaust and things like that. And it was a list of Albanians as kind of heroes, because they put their life in dangers to protect the people who I need. The same we have today. 20 years ago, Albania opened doors for 600,000 Albanians from Kosovo. Of course, Kosovars are our brothers. But when they are in need, when they were in need, we open our doors, we share with them everything. And now we have finally an independent state, the Kosovo state. Today we are doing the same with the people coming from Syria, from Afghanistan. We never build walls to stop them. Albania is always an open door for people who are in need. 3,000 opposition Iranians from 2 years now are living now in Albania because of this tolerance and helping the people who need assistance.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. You know, Ian, there are icons like Mother Teresa that is from Albania, yes. You know, and that represents a lot to a lot of people, the kindness, yes. The patience, the charity that the country has given to others.
And I think the same is to be said for Albanians in Britain as well. I mean, I've only recently become embraced in the Albanian community for the past 4 or 5 months. I felt so at home there straight away. They are very family orientated. The whole philosophy of Albanians in Britain reminded me of when I was growing up. You know, when I was 4, 5, 6, 7 years of age. It was the same type of philosophy then. And I think we can learn a lot from Albanians in Britain as well, just on their family policies especially. They're very strong family orientated, they get on with each other very, very well, they're very hard working. And I think that probably the biggest issue with Albania right now is that they need to talk up more about their country than anything.
Because it seems as if the country is underrated.
Precisely.
Not many people know about Albania and the opportunities out there in Albania.
Absolutely, and I think the reality is, for example, both Lonely Planet and Booking.com, the 2 largest methods of tourism, they voted Albania the best underrated destination in Europe, and they voted it for the past couple of years. What they're talking about is they have fabulous beaches, there's no crowds on the beaches, the food is superb, the hotels are fabulous, that you get a very, very strong experience when you go on holiday in Albania in the first place. And I think the issue now is, and this is where we can sort of work in Britain to help Albania as well, is to actually support Albania and at the same time highlight all the good things that are going on. And with the channel like Love World, it's perfect, I think, for Albanians to be seen on channels like this, so they can actually talk about the biggest values. It's a hidden gem at times.
Ambassador, let's look at the companies in the UK and businesses post-Brexit. If someone watching now says, oh, I've heard so much about Albania, I would like to go ahead straight and invest in Albania, what advice would you give them?
Well, I would advise to run fast, because it's a country with opportunity, and if you knocked at the door of the institutions, the main institution that welcome in first place the foreign investors are AIDA, the company that is a state entity, let's say, that support and gives support to all the investors, everything they need, asking about legislation, asking all the details, everything that someone would like to know about a country, about the investment in a country, this institution called AIDA can give. In meantime, I would like to say that here in UK, there is a big community of Albanians. Now there are more than 100,000 Albanians are living here. There are 1,200 businesses run by the Albanian only in London. 600 young Albanians are working now in the city of London. More than 45 academics are are part of the academic life in UK. So there are some good connections that we hope to increase in the future.
That's interesting. So many connections to increase in the future. Now, Ian, let's talk about the young generation, because
yes.
we talk about post-Brexit, we're talking
yes.
about the future generation, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line.
I think it would be a very safe relationship from all sorts of things. I mean, we talk about different issues in London right now, for example, with the crime. And the reality is you can walk the streets of Tirana, the main city, capital city, and there is no fear of any sort of crime or anything at all. I worked recently with the mayor of Tirana, who is really helping to build the country now as well. And the quality of it is very good for young Albanians at the same time. I think there are policies that we could work with. There is an organisation called Albanian Skills, and they are 4,500 young Albanians who are now learning skill processes and are being highlighted. So perhaps we could invite them to Britain as well in some places, so that we can actually build bridges between these young entrepreneurs at the same time. There is so much opportunity. And as I say, I think, as the ambassador says, you have to run towards them now, because I think other countries, America certainly, is seeing Albania as one of the main countries to look at and invest in.
You said something about the Albanians. They're very hardworking.
Yes.
And that's one of the things we would like the youths in this country to be hardworking, because you have a lot of people that are NEETs. It has been on the increase. They are not in education, they're not in employment, and they are not in any training at all. Is there something that the government can do, to see, to make a relationship between these youths, so that they can see role models in Albania who are hardworking?
Yeah.
Like Ambassador mentioned, you have over 600 of them here in this country that are working in the city of London, and they have been very successful.
I think the quality of the universities, and it probably stems from the communist days in the first place, but the actual value of the universities as well is extraordinary. Youth of today in Albania are taught English, and I think they're taught English from 13 or 14 years of age. And so the whole opportunity for Albania to really go right across the world is important. And I think when I walked around the streets of the cities like Tirana at night and Durrës, one of the seaside towns, we felt totally safe at the time as well. And you find with the Albanian teenagers especially that they are very business orientated, they're very focused on moving forward with their lives as well. Yes, they have fun, but I think they're much more serious about their education and the values that education brings them at the same time as well. They embrace all the values of education.
And I think that's one of the things, I would love to ask the Ambassador, Your Excellency, the positivity about Albanians, how did that come about? Why are they so positive, so hardworking, irrespective of what they've gone through?
Well, it was, as I mentioned before, it was part of our history. We used to live in harmony with everybody, doesn't matter the religion, the nationality. And on the other hand, in this last 28 years, 1/3 of the population moved abroad. Albania is a population of more than 4 million, but more than 1.5 million now is living abroad. So the people who have been abroad have brought their experience. For example, if you are visiting Albania, one of the main things that everybody can see is the excellent quality of food, because our restaurants, our bars, people who have been in Italy, in Greece, they have brought their experience. So from this point of view, it's the same sun, the same sea, the same food, but 10 times cheaper than compared with Italy and Greece. That's why.
Ambassador, because interestingly, a lot of people you see in the UK, quite a number of them, with what is even going on in Brexit, people are scared. Some people are scared. Some people feel depressed. Some people are perturbed, and they're wondering, what do we do? How do we manage this? And they're beginning to go off balance, and we are saying, there is no need to be scared. You need to calm the storms. But in Albania, irrespective of what you've gone through, you're still standing firm.
Well, now, people, even in my country, especially young people, would like to go abroad to get other experience. And also some of them, unfortunately, violate the rules to come even in UK, because it's so difficult to get a visa to come in UK.
Why is that so?
Well, this is maybe the policy, and I mean, Brexit make things more difficult regarding visa issues. But well, they're not criminals. There are people like Italian, like the Germans, like the Americans, that they would like to come in this country and have a better life. But in meantime, Albanians are very well integrated, as I mentioned. There are few cases of people who commit irregularity, and I will take this opportunity that sometimes media damage a lot the image of Albania in general, talking about Albanian criminals, gangs, and things like that. I think, well, criminality have no nationality. And when this kind of media presents some Albanians like criminals, like drug dealers and things like this, it's a pure racism, I think. And I'm sorry for that.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you for highlighting that. Now, Ian, looking at Albania, post-Brexit, what should businesses in the UK be doing? Not just businesses, but individuals who also want to invest in Albania.
I think talking to businesses, I mean, one of the things that I found my first trip out is how many women now are getting very high-powered jobs in Albania in the first place. It's a very good area for perhaps female executives wanting to expand their range of experience, is to go to a country like that. When I was doing interviews over there, a lot of the women who were in very high-powered management positions now had gone out of the country, and now they'd come back with the knowledge, and they were growing the country at the same time. And you look at, as I say, things like the investments. You know, I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect. I came out of Tirana Airport, I wasn't sure. And we're driving into the city, and I'm looking around thinking, well, perhaps they might have old-fashioned cars. That's what I was used to, you know, from communist periods. And I'm looking around, and it's BMW, it's Range Rover, it's Mercedes, and it's wall-to-wall. And I'm looking around, and I can see all the adverts are in English, and I'm thinking, it's almost like I've sort of landed back in London again. I think there is so much value, and I think we can absolutely look at investing in Albania. I think it's going to be a growth country, that's for certain. There's a lot of different facilities there, there's a lot of opportunities there. And I think, you know, it's one of those countries where if we're needing to grow our own businesses generically as well, it's one of the great countries to actually invest in.
Interesting, because your GDP growth rate in 2017 was 3.8%. And
the same this year.
And the same as last year.
Yeah.
That's something we would love to have in the UK.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. But before we go, what are your last words to Brits who would like to have ties with Albania?
Well, I would invite everyone to visit my country, because it's a country that have a lot of things to discover. Being a country in the crossroad of two civilizations, of Roman and Greek civilization, you can find more than 164 archaeological places. A country that I mentioned before with 300 days with sun. A country which have the Ionian and Adriatic Sea, like the Greek and the Italian coast. People can, I mean, the British people can meet the best people they have ever met in their life, very friendly. And I'm sure that everyone could have not only the best vacancies in Albania, but also the best opportunity to do business over there.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for coming.
Much.
Well, viewers, this is Talking Politics, and today we've been looking at investment and business opportunities post-Brexit. What happens on the 29th of March, whether we leave the EU or not. Whatever the decision, what will determine how far we go is how we make use of the investment and business opportunities available to us. And today we've been looking at Albania, the investment opportunities in Albania. We've had His Excellency, the Albanian Ambassador to the United Kingdom, Mr. Qirjako Qirko, who has told us more about Albania and how he would love to see Brits and the UK invest in Albania. If you have any questions, you can send emails to info@loveworldtv.co.uk. Stay tuned.